It's like Lionsgate saw how often the country of Greenland was being discussed in the news lately, and they were like, we gotta make another Greenland movie. We gotta capitalize on the search results. Because Greenland, the first movie, came out in 2020. It was actually better than I thought it would be. I think a lot of people felt that way. It was not like a giant Roland Emmerich disaster movie. It was kind of smaller budget, and because of that, was a little more character focused. Still not some kind of great movie by any means. It was okay, kind of forgettable. Not really something I, or many, expected to get a sequel to. Just like the first film, this is directed by Ric Roman Waugh. So the first movie saw a huge portion of the Earth annihilated by this meteor. Our main characters are safe in this bunker, but when an incident occurs there at the beginning of this movie, they now have to trek out across the Earth to try to find some better place that they can maybe live permanently and start actually getting back to some semblance of a normal life. I was curious how this was going to go, because like I said, didn't expect a sequel. It's only 90 minutes, where the first one was closer to 2 hours, and the budget on this one is actually quite a bit higher, so it seemed like they were just kind of going to go for like a action disaster movie extravaganza, and that's basically what you have here. I mean, they're trekking across the planet, and the sea levels are high as shit, there's giant chasms they have to cross, there's meteor showers and tsunamis, there's earthquakes, there's other people they have to come across, and sometimes that's the most dangerous thing of all. It's basically just a series of shitty things happening to these people over and over again, just like non-stop. They really can't catch a break, and the movie's really well paced because of that. There's a good amount of variety in all the crazy things that are happening to them, and it just shows how different this version of the planet is, and it's a little bit of a scary thought, because as much time and effort as we put into making every element of our lives, personally and societally, as perfect as we want them to be, all of the war and the fighting we've done over these little petty things, nature can just decide, get fucked. And then we do in fact have no choice but to get fucked. Nature does not give a shit. It can all just be gone like that. And then this movie is about trying to see if a little bit of that can be restored, if there can be a little bit of hope for humanity. I think this is a pretty good companion piece to the first one. It's a bit different in that there's just so much crazy disaster shit happening, but as someone who just thought the first one was fine, I think this one is also fine. It's kind of generic, but it's serviceable. Gerard Butler is usually entertaining to watch, and he is here too. Morena Baccarin also returns as his wife. As for the actual characters they're portraying, there's very little emotional investment there. Gerard Butler is just guy who wants to protect family. There's very little actually going on there in terms of depth. Their son this time is played by Roman Griffin Davis. I've certainly seen him give good performances. I didn't really buy him that much here. I don't really blame him that much either. There's just not really much to this character. He's just kind of like teenage boy. He likes astronomy. That's the most interesting trait about him, but he's really just slightly annoying, pretty basic teen character. There's not really much for him to work with. I never really felt for that character, and I didn't really buy into that performance all that much. And that's the thing that really holds the movie back, the lack of emotional investment. There's plenty of entertainment just because it's so quickly paced with all of these disasters happening one after another, but you were never really having me care particularly about these characters, and by the time they eventually, at the tail end of the movie, do try to pull on your heartstrings with some emotional development between them, I'm like, you can't try to pull that out now. It ain't that kind of movie, bruv. I don't care about them like that. It's not happening. When you structure the movie like a theme park ride where it's just, and then this happened, and then this happened, and then this happened, we're not exactly there for the small talk between the characters. That's not really the strong suit. And it gets pretty damn ridiculous with what these three people are able to survive constantly throughout the film. All of those natural disasters that I described, they go through all of that. They go through a literal war zone, which was oddly brushed over. That takes like a minute. They get through it without a scratch. You may as well have cut that out of the movie. It didn't amount to anything. They get through all of this without a scratch on any of them, and it just gets crazy. There's obviously some suspension of disbelief required, but when it happens over and over and over and over again, when it seems like the ground will crumble all around them and kill everyone around them, except the spot they are standing in, just long enough for them to get to safety, when that keeps happening, it gets really laughable. If you're a side character, get fucked. Sorry. The moment you start to have any real screen time, the moment you get like a dialogue scene devoted to yourself, you're dead right after that. But if you're a main character, the gods are clearly protecting you. The side characters were so good at dying, and the main characters were so good at improbably surviving, it made me feel like I was watching Stranger Things. And because of that, I did get less and less invested as the movie went on, because I'm like, okay, another thing happens to everybody around them, and then they're just miraculously fine. Why are we following these three people exactly? In particular, there's nothing super special about them that would lead me to believe they were good enough to be the ones to survive. The script has just decided that they're the ones who survive, and therefore you must follow them, deal with it. And I'm like, you know what? I am not as emotionally invested in these people enough, and the idea that they are surviving everything by the magic of the script is just getting absurd. So I was never emotionally invested, and I got even less so. Less from zero, if that can happen, as the movie went on. But as just a pure, goofy kind of popcorn movie where shit's going crazy all the time and there's a ruined Earth, there's some fun to be had. You know, it's a neat little companion piece to the first one. Didn't need to be made, but it's like a solid little thing that I'm not going to go out of my way to recommend to people. But if you liked the first one, then this one's here too, and it's like a 6 out of 10. It was a fine watch, but nothing special that I'm ever going to think about again. But let me know your thoughts. This was all just my opinion, so if you really liked this movie compared to the first one, or if you thought it was a big step down, whatever you think, let's talk about it down in the comments. How many improbable survivals did it take for you to start rolling your eyes? That's a conversation to be had. But thank you so much for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you want to see more from me. I appreciate it, and I hope to see you next time.